When I worked in car rental, my frontline employees had to deliver bad news to customers every day. Our policy was we only accepted credit cards at the time of pickup. Customers could choose to pay with a debit card when they returned the car, but the policy was clear: only credit cards in your own name when you pick up a car, with one exception. Customers would get so upset. Many would ask to talk to a manager, and some would call the corporate office to complain. I realized that customers got so upset because my employees weren't clear and unequivocal in explaining our policy. Once I helped my employees explain our policy more clearly, we had fewer escalations. In this video, you will learn how to explain policy conflicts using key number 1, be clear and unequivocal. Being clear and unequivocal helps you answer questions the customer is sure to have before they even ask the questions. And this key will help your customers accept the policy even when they don't like it. So before I taught my employees to focus on being clear and unequivocal when discussing policy conflicts, they'd say something like, "We don't accept debit cards," which wasn't true. We actually did take debit cards on return, just not at pickup. And we did have one exception that did allow us to accept debit cards. This may have confused customers who'd paid with debit cards previously or who had heard maybe from other customers that we took debit cards. Another problem with what my employees were saying was they didn't tell customers why we didn't accept debit cards. The response my employees gave left customers with more questions than answers. This could be avoided by being clear and unequivocal. When you have to deliver bad news because what the customer is asking for will cause a policy conflict, I want you to do two things. Explain why the policy is in place and be as clear as possible. In my car rental example, I helped my employees change their response like this. Debit or check cards are considered to be any non-credit card bearing the Visa, MasterCard, or Discover logo. Any other non-credit card without one of these logos is not accepted. This is the why. It's important, whenever it's possible, to explain the why. This helps prevent the customer from coming back asking the same question another way. I had my employees elaborate to be as clear as possible this way. When renting from us, a credit card in the name of the renter must be presented at the time of rental. Otherwise, debit and check cards are accepted as a form of payment at the time of return. This response is clear and unequivocal. Customers certainly didn't like hearing this, but they accepted it, and we had fewer escalations after changing the response. Here's another example. Let's say a customer is asking for a refund or replacement of a product, but you can't give a refund because the customer made the mistake that caused the problem. Maybe the customer failed to follow instructions or they used the product in a way that caused the failure, and your policy doesn't cover consumer error. You could be clear and equivocal and explain the why like this. It is our company policy that we cannot pay a claim that involves consumer error. We have a responsibility to the company to uphold the integrity of our products and accordingly cannot offer refund or replacement. Policy is policy, and there's usually no way around that. Help your customers accept what you're telling them by telling them the why of the policy and by being as clear and complete as possible in your response.